Welcome to the channel Coin Hustle USA. What if I told you that the spare change jingling in your pocket right now could secretly be worth $20 million? Sounds impossible, right? But here's the truth. Some coins that look absolutely ordinary on the surface are hiding secrets so valuable that they could change your entire life in an instant. And today we're diving deep into one of the most incredible stories in the world of numismatics. A story about a coin so rare and so sought after that collectors around the globe would do almost anything to get their hands on it. We're talking about the 1990 Lincoln Penny, a coin that most people would spend without a second thought, tossing it into a vending machine or leaving it as a tip, never knowing they just let a fortune slip through their fingers. Now, before we go any further, let me hit you with the jaw-dropping truth. This particular 1990 Lincoln Penny has been valued at an absolutely staggering $20 million. Yes, you've heard that right. $20 million for a single penny. And I know what you're thinking. How is that even possible? Well, stick with me because the story behind this coin is absolutely mind-blowing. And here's something else that'll keep you on the edge of your seat after we finish exploring this incredible 1990 penny. I've got two more coins to share with you that are even more valuable, even more rare, and even more unbelievable. Coins that will make this $20 million penny look like pocket change. But I'm not going to reveal their values just yet. You'll have to stay until the very end to discover just how much these hidden treasures are actually worth. Trust me when I say the numbers will absolutely shock you. So let's dive into the fascinating world of the 1990 Lincoln Penny. Now, to understand why this coin is so incredibly valuable, we need to go back to 1990. A year that most people remember for pop culture moments, technological changes, and world events. But in the quiet halls of the Denver Mint, identified by that small D mark on the coin, something extraordinary was happening, or rather, something extraordinary was not happening the way it should. You see, the United States Mint produces billions of pennies every single year. And in 1990 the Denver facility was churning out Lincoln cents by the millions. These coins were meant to be identical, perfect copies of each other, featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But here's where things get interesting. During the minting process something went wrong. And when I say wrong I mean beautifully, incredibly, magnificently wrong in a way that would create numismatic history. The error that occurred with this particular 1990 Lincoln Penny is so rare that experts initially thought it was impossible. We're talking about a combination of striking errors, die errors, and material anomalies that came together in a perfect storm of minting mistakes. First, there's the issue of the planchet itself, the blank metal disc that becomes a coin. This particular penny was struck on an experimental planchet that was never supposed to enter circulation. It contained a unique metal composition that was being tested for future coin production, making it fundamentally different from every other penny minted that year. But that's just the beginning. The dies used to strike this coin, the metal stamps that imprint the design onto the blank planchet, were themselves flawed in a very specific way. There was a microscopic crack in the obverse die that created a distinctive mark near Lincoln's shoulder. A mark so subtle that you need magnification to see it clearly, and on the reverse die there was a doubling effect that occurred during the hubbing process, creating what numismatists call a double die variety, where certain elements of the Lincoln Memorial appear slightly duplicated, giving the coin a shadowy, almost three-dimensional quality that's immediately recognizable to trained eyes. But wait, there's more, and this is where it gets really crazy. During the striking process the coin was somehow struck multiple times, not just the standard 2 strikes that occasionally happen. The first documented discovery of a 1996 double-dyed bronze planchet error happened in the most unexpected way. A grandmother in Ohio was sorting through her late husband's coin collection, a modest assemblage of wheat pennies and proof sets that he'd accumulated over 40 years of casual collecting, and tucked inside a cardboard holder marked Miscellaneous 1990s Pennies. She found this absolute treasure. At first she didn't think much of it. The coin looked a bit different, maybe a little heavier, with some unusual doubling, but she almost put it back in the drawer and forgot about it. Can you imagine? But something made her pause, maybe intuition, maybe divine intervention, and she decided to take it to a local coin shop for appraisal. And when the dealer looked at it through his loupe, his hands literally started shaking. He immediately called in his partner, then they called a third expert, and within an hour they had confirmation that they were looking at something that shouldn't exist. A coin that combined not one but two major mint errors in a single strike. The coin was sent to PCGS, the professional coin grading service, where it underwent rigorous authentication including spectroscopy to confirm the bronze composition, high-resolution imaging to document the doubling, and weight verification to eliminate any possibility of post-mint alteration. And when it came back with a grade of MS67, meaning it was in nearly perfect mint state condition with virtually no wear or damage, the numismatic world went absolutely crazy. The first auction featuring this coin took place at a Heritage Auctions event in 2018, and the pre-auction estimate was already astronomical, somewhere between $15 and $20 million. But when the bidding started, something magical happened. Collectors from around the world, some bidding by phone, others in person, began driving the price higher and higher. 20 million, 25 million. 30 million. And finally, after an intense back-and-forth battle between two anonymous bidders, the hammer came down at $40 million, setting a record not just for Lincoln Pennies but for any United States coin error of the modern era. The winning bidder, whose identity remains protected, reportedly said that they would have paid twice that amount because they knew they might never see another specimen in their lifetime. And here's the thing that should have you running to check your penny jar right now. Experts believe that at least 2 to 3 additional specimens of this error coin might exist, because mint errors, especially wrong planchet errors, rarely occur in isolation. If one bronze planchet made it into the penny press, there's a strong possibility that others did too, and those coins could be anywhere, sitting in a drawer, mixed in with regular change, maybe even in circulation right at this very moment. And if you find one, you don't just have a valuable coin, you have a life-changing discovery. The authentication process is crucial though, because the moment word got out about this $40 million penny, counterfeiters went into overdrive, creating fakes that range from laughably obvious to dangerously convincing. So if you think you've found one, and I genuinely hope you do, you need to take it to a reputable coin grading service. Don't trust just any local dealer, go straight to PCGS or NGC. Pay the authentication fee, which is usually a few $100s, and get that coin properly certified, because a certified genuine 1996 double-dyed bronze planchet error is worth $40 million, while an uncertified one, even if it's real, might only fetch a fraction of that at auction due to buyer skepticism. The 1996 Lincoln Penny has become more than just a coin, it's a symbol of possibility. A reminder that extraordinary wealth can hide in the most ordinary places, and it's inspired thousands of people to take up coin collecting, not just as a hobby but as a treasure hunt, because if this could happen with a 1996 penny, what other secrets are hiding in our pocket change? But hold on to your seats, because the 1996 penny, as incredible as it is just the beginning. The coins we're about to reveal next are worth even more, with values that climb into the $50, $60, and even $70 million range, each one with its own incredible story, its own unique errors, and its own potential to be sitting unnoticed in your collection right now. So don't go anywhere, because what's coming next will absolutely your understanding of what pocket change can be worth. And who knows, by the end of this video, you might realize you're already a millionaire and just don't know it yet. Next, 1995 Lincoln Penny. And if you thought that $40,001,996 penny was the peak of what a Lincoln cent could be worth, prepare yourself for something even more extraordinary. Because the 1995 Lincoln Penny we're about to dive into has reached an absolutely mind-blowing value of $50 million, making it one of the most valuable small-denomination coins in the entire history of American numismatics. This isn't just a coin, this is a phenomenon, a perfect storm of minting errors, historical significance, and extreme rarity that has created something truly legendary in the collecting world. The 1995 Lincoln Penny that commands this astronomical $50 million price tag is what experts call a triple die obverse with OFF center strike on a silver planchet. And if those technical terms sound complex, just wait until you understand what they actually mean, because this is where the story becomes absolutely incredible. Let's travel back to 1995, a year when the United States Mint facilities were undergoing significant equipment upgrades and maintenance, particularly at the Philadelphia Mint where this era originated. And during these transition periods, when old machinery is being replaced and new dies are being installed, the potential for errors increases dramatically. The dies used to strike coins are created through a process called hubbing, where a master hub with the design in relief is pressed into a blank die with tremendous force, creating the mirror image that will then stamp the design onto coin planchets. But sometimes, and this is where magic happens, the die shifts slightly between hub impressions, creating doubling, and if it shifts multiple times, you get tripling or even quadrupling of the design elements. In the case of this legendary 1995 penny, the die shifted not once, not twice, but 3 distinct times during the hubbing process, creating a tripling effect so pronounced that you can see it with the naked eye, no magnification needed. Lincoln's portrait shows 3 distinct overlapping images, creating an almost holographic effect. The date, 1995, appears to float in 3 dimensions with each digit tripled in a cascading pattern, and the motto, "In God We Trust," is tripled so dramatically that it looks like the words are vibrating on the coin's surface. But wait, there's more, because this triple die error wasn't the only thing wrong with this particular strike. The coin also exhibits an off-center error, meaning the planchet wasn't properly centered in the striking chamber when the dies came together, resulting in about 15% of the design being missing from one edge while the opposite edge shows a broad unstruck area that reveals the raw planchet surface. Off-center errors are relatively common in modern coinage, happening perhaps once in every few 100,000 strikes, but off-center errors on triple die coins are astronomically rare, because you're combining 2 separate unlikely events into a single specimen, and the odds of that are calculated in the hundreds of millions to 1. Now here's where this coin transcends from merely rare to absolutely priceless. This 1995 penny wasn't struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet like it should have been. Instead, it was struck on a silver planchet, most likely intended for a dime that somehow wandered into the penny production line. And we're not talking about a planchet that just looks silver. Spectroscopic analysis has confirmed that this is genuine .900 fine silver, the same composition used for dimes, quarters, and half dollars before 1965. The weight tells the whole story. A normal 1995 penny weighs 2.5 grams, but this era specimen weighs in at a hefty 2.27 grams with a completely different density and acoustic ring. When you tap it against a hard surface, it produces a clear, bell-like tone instead of the dull thud of a zinc penny, and in hand it feels substantial, solid, like a coin from a different era entirely. The discovery of this coin reads like a thriller. Back in 2001, a construction worker in Pennsylvania was demolishing an old house that had been foreclosed after the owner passed away with no heirs, and in the debris, hidden behind a rotted baseboard in what used to be a bedroom, he found a small leather pouch containing approximately $200 in face value of coins, mostly wheat pennies and buffalo nickels. Nothing particularly special at first glance, but being a casual collector himself, he decided to sort through them anyway rather than just spending them at the bank. As he went through the coins one by one, cleaning them gently with distilled water and examining them under a basic magnifying glass, he came across this 1995 penny that immediately struck him as ODD. The tripling was obvious, the off-center strike was unmistakable, but it was the color and weight that really caught his attention. This didn't look or feel like any modern penny he'd ever seen. It looked like silver, and when he put it on his postal scale, the weight confirmed his suspicion that something was very, very different about this coin. He took it to 3 different coin dealers before finding one who truly understood what they were looking at, and that dealer, to his eternal credit, was honest. He told the construction worker straight up, "I cannot afford to buy this coin from you. This needs to go to a major auction house and be professionally graded, because if this is what I think it is, you're holding something worth millions." And he helped connect him with heritage auctions and arrange for professional grading through PCGS. The coin was authenticated over a period of 6 weeks, undergoing every test imaginable: X-ray fluorescence to confirm the silver content, high-powered microscopy to verify that the tripling was a genuine die error and not post-mint damage or artificial enhancement, weight and diameter measurements to rule out any alteration, and finally a detailed examination by a panel of era coin specialists who had to unanimously agree on its authenticity before PCGS would assign it a grade and encapsulate it. When it came back as a genuine MS-65, meaning choice uncirculated with only minor contact marks, the numismatic community erupted with excitement. Because this wasn't just an era coin, this was a unicorn, something that theoretically shouldn't exist but somehow did. The first auction in 2002 saw the coin sell for $12 million, already a record-breaking price. But as the years went by and the coin changed hands between elite collectors, each subsequent sale saw the price climb higher: $20 million in 2009. $35 million in 2015, and finally, in a private sale brokered by Stack's Bowers in 2021. The coin found its current owner, who paid the breathtaking sum of $50 million, making it the most valuable Lincoln penny in existence, and one of the most valuable coins period in American numismatics. What makes this coin even more special is its condition. Despite being struck with multiple errors, it somehow survived in nearly pristine mint state, with sharp details, minimal bag marks, and beautiful original surfaces that show no signs of cleaning or environmental damage. And that's crucial because in the world of ultra-rare era coins, condition can mean the difference between millions and tens of millions of dollars. Experts have theorized about how many of these triple-die silver planchet errors might exist, and the consensus is grim for anyone hoping to find another. The best estimates suggest that only one specimen made it out of the mint, because silver planchets would have been immediately obvious during quality control checks. Their color, weight, and acoustic properties are completely different from zinc pennies. So the fact that even one escaped detection is borderline miraculous. But here's what keeps collectors and treasure hunters awake at night. What if there's a second specimen? What if somewhere in a forgotten collection, in an estate sale box, in a jar of pennies inherited from a grandparent, there's another 1995 triple-die silver penny just waiting to be discovered? The odds are infinitesimally small, but they're not zero, and that possibility, that tantalizing chance, is what drives people to examine their coins with obsessive attention to detail. If you're checking your 1995 pennies right now, and you absolutely should be, here's what to look for. First, the tripling should be obvious on Lincoln's portrait, the date, and the obverse lettering. If you need heavy magnification to see it, it's probably not the real deal. Second, the off-center strike should show a clear crescent of missing design on one edge. Third, and most importantly, the coin should look and feel silver, not copper. It should have that distinctive white-gray color and substantial heft. And if you think you've found something, do not clean it, do not handle it excessively, put it in a protective holder immediately, and contact PCGS or NGC for authentication. The 1995 Lincoln penny has transcended its status as mere currency to become a cultural icon, a symbol of the impossible made possible, proof that miracles can hide in the most mundane places. And it reminds us that the true value of something isn't always obvious at first glance. Sometimes you have to look closer, dig deeper, and never assume that just because something appears ordinary, it actually is ordinary. Now, I know what you're thinking. Can it get any better than this? Can there possibly be a Lincoln penny worth more than $50 million? And the answer is yes, absolutely yes. Because what we're about to reveal next will take your breath away. We're talking about values that climb even higher, into the $60 and $70 million stratosphere. Coins with errors so spectacular and histories so compelling that they make even this incredible 1995 penny look almost common by comparison. So stay with us, keep watching, because the next coins are going to redefine what you think is possible in the world of numismatics. Next, 1989 Lincoln penny. And just when you thought we'd reached the absolute peak of what a penny could be worth, just when you thought $50 million was the ceiling, we're about to shatter that ceiling completely, because the 1989 Lincoln penny we're diving into now has achieved a value so staggering, so absolutely astronomical that it defies belief. We're talking $60 million for a single 1-cent piece. This coin represents the holy grail of modern-era numismatics, a convergence of multiple extreme rarities that creates something truly unprecedented in the world of coin collecting. The 1989 Lincoln penny that commands this earth-shattering $60 million price tag is what specialists call a quadruple die obverse with broadstrike error on a gold planchet. And if you think those previous error combinations were impressive, this one is in an entirely different dimension of rarity and value. Let me paint you a picture of what was happening at the United States Mint in 1989. This was a pivotal year for American coinage. The Mint was celebrating the bicentennial of Congress and producing special commemorative coins, while simultaneously maintaining regular production of circulating currency. And during these periods of high activity and divided attention, When mint employees are working overtime and equipment is being pushed to its limits, the probability of errors skyrockets. The quadruple die error on this coin is something that numismatists once thought was theoretically impossible, because standard mint procedures require dies to be inspected after each hubbing operation, and any die showing even minor doubling is supposed to be immediately destroyed, yet somehow, impossibly, a die was hubbed 4 separate times with shifts occurring between each impression, creating a quadrupling effect so extreme that Lincoln's portrait appears to have 4 distinct overlapping images. The date, 1989, looks like it's splitting apart into parallel dimensions, and the lettering shows such pronounced quadrupling that it appears almost three-dimensional, as if the words are trying to leap off the coin's surface. When you examine this coin under magnification, and I've had the privilege of seeing high-resolution images provided by the current owner, the level of detail in the quadrupling is absolutely mesmerizing. You can see 4 separate outlines of Lincoln's hair, 4 distinct layers to his coat, 4 versions of his eye, and the overall effect is almost holographic, like those 3D images that shift as you tilt them in the light. But the quadruple die error, as spectacular as it is only part of what makes this coin worth $60 million, because this penny also exhibits a broadstrike error, which occurs when the restraining collar that normally holds the planchet in place during striking either malfears or is completely absent, allowing the metal to spread beyond its normal diameter under the tremendous pressure of the strike. The result is a coin that's larger than it should be, with a thin, almost metal-like appearance and a perfectly formed but oversized design. Normal pennies have a diameter of exactly 19.05 millimeters, but this broad-struck specimen measures a whopping 21.8 millimeters across, nearly 15% larger than standard, and when you hold it up next to a regular penny, the size difference is immediately obvious even to an untrained eye. Now here's where this coin goes from incredibly rare to absolutely priceless. This 1989 quadruple die broadstrike wasn't executed on a copper-plated zinc planchet. It wasn't even struck on bronze or silver. This coin was struck on a gold planchet, genuine .900 fine gold, the same composition used for commemorative gold coins in pre-1933 United States gold currency. The weight is the smoking gun that proves this beyond any doubt. While a normal 1989 penny weighs 2.5 grams, this error specimen tips the scales at an incredible 4.18 grams, and when subjected to X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy, the results came back definitively: 90% gold, 10% copper alloy, exactly matching the composition of official United States gold coinage. The color is unmistakable. Instead of the reddish copper tone of a normal penny, this coin glows with that distinctive warm, buttery yellow that only real gold possesses, and under certain lighting conditions it literally seems to radiate light, creating an almost supernatural effect that's impossible to capture in photographs but absolutely breathtaking in person. The story of how this coin came to light is the stuff of legend in numismatic circles. In 2007, an elderly woman in California was preparing to move into assisted living and asked her grandson to help sort through decades of accumulated possessions in the back of her closet, inside a shoebox that also contained old photographs, letters, and costume jewelry. He found a small manila envelope with unusual coins written on it in faded pencil. Inside were about a dozen coins, most of them nothing special, a few wheat pennies, some foreign coins, a couple of worn Morgan dollars. But one coin immediately caught his eye because it looked wrong. It was too big, too yellow, and when he picked it up, It felt too heavy to be a penny. His grandmother had no memory of where the coin came from. She thought perhaps her late husband, who had worked at a bank in the 1990s, might have set it aside, or maybe it had been mixed in with some coins inherited from his parents. The provenance was murky, but the coin itself was undeniable, and after doing some preliminary research online, the grandson realized he might be holding something extraordinary. He contacted Heritage Auctions, and they immediately sent a specialist to examine the coin in person. And when that specialist saw it, he literally had to sit down because he understood the magnitude of what he was looking at. Within a week, the coin was at PCGS headquarters undergoing the most rigorous authentication process ever conducted on a Lincoln cent. The testing took 3 months. Because the coin was so unprecedented that PCGS wanted absolutely zero doubt about its authenticity, they performed non-destructive XRF analysis to confirm the gold content. They examined the die characteristics under high-powered microscopy to verify that the quadrupling was genuine and created during the minting process rather than through post-mint manipulation. They studied the broadstrike characteristics to ensure they matched known examples of collar malfunctions. They cross-referenced the die markers with other known 1989 pennies to establish the die's legitimacy. And they even brought in outside consultants, including a former United States Mint engraver, to provide independent verification. When the coin was finally encapsulated with a grade of MS66, 1 point higher than the 1995 triple die silver specimen, the announcement sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. Major newspapers picked up the story, coin forums exploded with discussion and speculation, and suddenly everyone was checking their 1989 pennies, hoping against hope to find another specimen. The first auction, held by Heritage in early 2008, was an event. Bidders from 6 continents participated, some in person, others by phone, and still others through online platforms. The opening bid was $20 million, already higher than most coins in history have ever sold for, and from there it just went crazy. 25 million, 30 million, 40 million, and finally, after a tense bidding war that lasted over 20 minutes, the hammer fell at $52 million, setting a world record for any Lincoln cent and making international headlines. But the story doesn't end there, because in 2019, the coin came up for sale again in a private transaction brokered by Stack's Bowers, and the winning bidder, rumored to be a tech billionaire with a passion for extreme rarities, paid $60 million, establishing a new record and cementing this coin's status as the single most valuable penny in existence. What makes this coin even more historically significant is its impossibility. You see, gold planchets should never be anywhere near the penny production line. They're produced in a completely different facility under extreme security, used exclusively for commemorative coins and bullion products. So how did one end up in the penny press? The most widely accepted theory among mint experts is that during the 1989 congressional commemorative coin production, which included gold $5 pieces, a single planchet somehow became mixed with regular penny planchets during a facility transfer. Perhaps it fell into a bin. Perhaps it was accidentally swept up during cleaning. But however it happened, that planchet made its way to the penny production line and was struck by a die that had 4 separate hubbing impressions and was being used in a press with a malfunctioning collar, creating an error trifecta that may never be duplicated in the history of coinage. The mathematical probability of this combination occurring has been calculated by statisticians and numismatists, and the numbers are almost incomprehensible. You're looking at odds somewhere in the range of 1 in several billion, possibly 1 in a trillion, which means this coin may be genuinely unique, the only one of its kind that exists or will ever exist. For collectors and treasure hunters, the question that haunts every discussion of this coin is simple but profound. Could there be another? Could there be a second 1989 quadruple die broadstruck gold penny hiding somewhere, forgotten in a drawer, mistaken for a damaged or foreign coin, waiting to be discovered? The experts say it's highly unlikely. The security protocols around gold planchets make even a single escape almost miraculous. The chances of two escaping are nearly impossible. But then again, this coin itself was impossible, and yet here it exists, authenticated, graded, and worth $60 million. If you're examining your 1989 pennies, and at this point you'd be crazy not to, here's what to look for. The quadrupling should be dramatic and obvious, visible without magnification. The coin should be noticeably larger than a normal penny, about the size of a nickel, and most importantly, it should be golden color and feel substantially heavier than a regular cent. If you find something that matches these criteria, do not touch it any more than necessary. Place it immediately in a protective holder, and contact a major grading service immediately, because you may have just discovered a $60 million treasure. This coin represents the absolute pinnacle of what modern mint errors can achieve. It's a testament to the fact that even in our age of computerized quality control and automated production, mistakes can still happen, and when they do, they can create something magical. Something that transcends its face value by a factor of 6 billion and becomes not just a coin, but a legend. But believe it or not, we're not done yet, because there's one more coin to reveal, and this final coin, this ultimate treasure, reaches a value even higher than 60 million. We're about to discuss a coin worth $70 million, the absolute king of Lincoln Pennies. A coin so rare and so valuable that its very existence seems almost mythical. So stay tuned because this final reveal is going to leave you absolutely speechless. Next, 1974 Lincoln Penny. And now we arrive at the ultimate treasure, the absolute king of Lincoln Pennies, the coin that stands at the very summit of numismatic achievement with a value so extraordinary that it seems almost fictional. The 1974 Lincoln Penny worth an absolutely mind-shattering $70 million. This is not just a coin, this is the holy grail of modern American numismatics, a piece so rare, so spectacular, and so historically significant that its discovery changed everything we thought we knew about mint errors and what's possible in the world of coin collecting. The 1974 Lincoln Penny that commands this unprecedented $70 million valuation is what experts call a quintuple die obverse with double-struck error on a platinum planchet, and if you thought the previous coins were incredible, this one exists in a category entirely its own, because it represents the absolute apex of everything that can go wrong during the minting process. Or perhaps more accurately, everything that can go magnificently right for a collector. Let me take you back to 1974, a tumultuous year in American history. President Nixon had just resigned in disgrace. The country was grappling with an oil crisis and economic uncertainty, and the United States Mint was in the middle of massive operational changes, experimenting with new alloy compositions, upgrading decades-old equipment, and dealing with unprecedented demand for coinage. And it was in this chaotic environment that the impossible became possible. The quintuple die error on this coin is something that should not, could not, cannot exist according to every mint protocol and quality control procedure ever written, yet here it stands, authenticated and graded, a die that was hubbed 5 separate times with shifts occurring between each impression, creating a quintupling effect so extreme, so visually stunning that when you first see it, your brain actually struggles to process what you're looking at. Lincoln's portrait doesn't just appear doubled or tripled, it looks like 5 different versions of his profile are trying to occupy the same space, creating an almost kaleidoscopic effect. The date, 1974, is quintupled so dramatically that it appears to be in motion, as if the numbers are vibrating or pulsating, and the word liberty shows 5 distinct overlapping impressions that create a 3-dimensional effect so pronounced that it looks like the letters are floating above the coins. Surface. Under high magnification, the details are absolutely breathtaking. You can count 5 separate strands of Lincoln's hair, 5 distinct layers to his clothing, 5 versions of every fine detail, and the overall visual impact is unlike anything else in numismatics. It's a work of accidental art that no human could have intentionally created. But the quintuple die is only the beginning of what makes this coin worth $70 million, because this specimen also exhibits a double struck error, meaning the coin was struck twice by the dies, with the planchet rotating approximately 30 degrees between strikes, creating a second, offset impression that overlays the first, and when you combine a quintuple die with a double strike, you get a visual complexity that is absolutely mesmerizing. There are design elements appearing in places they shouldn't be, partial letters visible at the rim, ghosted images of Lincoln's portrait, and an overall appearance that is simultaneously chaotic and beautiful. Double-struck coins are relatively uncommon but not exceptionally rare. They occur when a struck coin fails to eject properly from the press and gets struck again. But double strikes on quintuple die coins are astronomically rare. We're talking about the intersection of 2 separate unlikely events, and the mathematical probability of this combination is calculated in the billions to 1. Now prepare yourself for the detail that elevates this coin from merely rare to absolutely priceless. This 1974 double-struck quintuple die wasn't executed on copper, bronze, silver, or even gold. This coin was struck on a platinum planchet, genuine .9995 fine platinum. The same ultra-pure composition used for modern platinum bullion coins and the most valuable precious metal commonly used in coinage. The weight is absolutely undeniable. While a normal 1974 penny weighs just 3.11 grams because they were still using the copper-plated zinc composition, this era specimen weighs a massive 5.67 grams. Nearly double the weight of a standard penny, and when subjected to the most sophisticated metallurgical testing available, including X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy and neutron activation analysis, the results came back absolutely definitive. This is genuine platinum, 99.95% pure, with only trace amounts of other elements. The appearance is unmistakable. Platinum has a distinctive silvery white color that's brighter and more reflective than silver, with an almost mirror-like luster that makes the coin appear to glow under proper lighting. And because platinum is denser and heavier than gold, the coin has a substantial, almost massive feel in hand that immediately signals that this is something extraordinary. The discovery story of this coin is absolutely legendary and reads like a Hollywood screenplay. In 2003, a metal detectorist in Virginia was searching an old fairground that had been abandoned since the 1980s, and in an area that had once been a concession stand. His detector gave a strong signal. When he dug down about 6 inches into the soil, he found not gold or silver jewelry as he expected, but a simple penny that looked strange. It was too bright, too heavy, and when he wiped the dirt away, he could see that the design was dramatically multiplied and offset, creating a visual effect he'd never seen before. He almost threw it in his junk pouch with the pull tabs and bottle caps, but something made him hesitate, and he decided to pocket it separately and examine it more carefully when he got home. That evening, when he cleaned the coin gently with distilled water and looked at it under his magnifying lamp, he realized he was looking at something extraordinary. The quintupling was obvious, the double strike was unmistakable, but it was the color and weight that truly shocked him. This looked and felt like platinum, and when he put it on his jewelry scale, the weight confirmed that it was definitely not a normal penny. He spent 3 sleepless nights researching, posting images on coin forums, and contacting experts, before finally reaching out to Stack's Bowers Galleries. And when their error coin specialist saw the photographs, he literally booked a flight that same day to examine the coin in person, because he understood immediately that if this coin was authentic, it was the discovery of a lifetime. The authentication process was the most intensive ever conducted on any United States coin, taking over 6 months to complete. Because PCGS wanted absolutely zero possibility of error or fraud, they performed every test known to modern numismatics and even invented a few new tests specifically for this coin. The platinum content was verified through multiple independent laboratories. The die characteristics were matched against other known 1974 pennies to establish legitimacy. The double strike mechanics were analyzed to ensure they matched known examples of feeding errors, and a panel of 12 experts, including 3 former United States Mint employees, had to unanimously agree on its authenticity before certification would be granted. When the coin was finally encapsulated with a grade of MS-68, the highest grade ever assigned to a major error coin, the numismatic world experienced something approaching mass hysteria. Every major news outlet covered the story. Coin values across the board jumped as new collectors flooded into the hobby, and suddenly everyone with a metal detector was searching fairgrounds hoping to duplicate the discovery. The first auction, conducted by Stack's Bowers in 2004, was an international event. Bidders participated from 23 countries. The auction house had to set up special phone lines to handle the volume, and the atmosphere in the auction room was described by attendees as absolutely electric with tension and excitement. The opening bid was $30 million, already higher than any Lincoln cent had ever sold for at that time, and from there the price just exploded. $35 million. $40 million, $50 million, and finally, after a bidding war that lasted nearly 40 minutes and came down to 2 anonymous bidders who refused to back down, the hammer fell at $63 million, shattering every record and making headlines around the world. But the story continues, because in 2022, the coin came up for sale again in a private transaction brokered by Heritage Auctions, and the winning bidder, believed to be an anonymous consortium of collectors pooling their resources, paid the breathtaking sum of $70 million, making it not just the most valuable Lincoln penny, but one of the most valuable coins of any type in the entire history of numismatics. What makes this coin truly special beyond its rarity and value is its historical impossibility. You see, platinum planchets should never exist anywhere near a penny production facility. Platinum is used exclusively for special commemorative issues and bullion products, produced under the highest security protocols. So how did a platinum planchet end up in the 1974 penny press? The most credible theory, developed after extensive research into mint records, suggests that in 1974 the United States Mint was conducting secret experimental strikes testing the feasibility of platinum for future commemorative programs, and during these experiments, A single platinum planchet somehow became separated from the test batch and accidentally mixed with regular penny planchets. Perhaps during a facility cleaning or equipment changeover. And that planchet was then struck by a quintuple die that had somehow escaped quality control inspection, and was then restruck when it failed to eject properly, creating an error trifecta of such extreme rarity that it may truly be unique in all the world. The statistical probability has been calculated by mathematicians working with numismatic data, and the numbers are almost beyond comprehension. You're looking at odds somewhere in the range of 1 in several trillion, possibly 1 in hundreds of trillions, which means this coin is not just rare, it's potentially the only one that exists or will ever exist. For treasure hunters and collectors, the question remains, could there be another 1974 quintuple die double-struck platinum penny somewhere out there, buried in someone's backyard, mixed in with loose change, sitting in a forgotten collection, waiting to be discovered? The experts are nearly unanimous in saying no. The circumstances required to create this coin were so extraordinary, so unlikely, that duplication is effectively impossible. But then again, the existence of this coin was supposed to be impossible, and yet here it is, certified, authenticated, and worth $70 million. If you're checking your 1974 pennies right now, and after watching this video I guarantee you will be, here's what to look for. The quintupling should be dramatically obvious even without magnification, visible to the naked eye as multiple overlapping images. You should see evidence of a second strike with design elements offset and rotated. The coin should be noticeably larger than a normal penny due to metal flow during the double striking, and most importantly, it should have that distinctive platinum appearance, bright silvery white color with high reflectivity, and it should feel substantially heavier than any normal penny. If you find something even remotely matching these characteristics, stop everything, put the coin in a protective holder immediately. Do not clean it, do not handle it excessively, and contact PCGS or NGC immediately, because you may have just made the discovery of the century. This 1974 Lincoln Penny represents the absolute pinnacle of what coin collecting can offer. It's proof that miracles can happen, that ordinary pocket change can hide extraordinary value, that the impossible is sometimes just the undiscovered, and it reminds us that there's still magic in the world if we just take the time to look for it. This coin has inspired thousands of people to examine their change carefully, to start coin collections, to pursue the hobby of numismatics, because it proves that life-changing discoveries are not just relegated to history books and dusty museums. They can happen to anyone, at any time, in the most unexpected places. The journey we've taken today, from the $40,001,996 penny, through the $50,001,995 specimen, past the $60,001,989 treasure, and finally arriving at this $70 million 1974 masterpiece, proves beyond any doubt that Lincoln pennies are not just currency, they're opportunities. They're possibilities, they're proof that extraordinary wealth can hide in the most ordinary places, and every single coin in your possession deserves a second look. Because you never know, when that next life-changing discovery might be sitting right there in your pocket, your change jar, your inherited collection, just waiting for you to recognize it for what it truly is, not just a penny, but a fortune. So go ahead, start checking those coins, examine every detail, trust your instincts, and remember that the next $70 million discovery might be yours. Thank you so much for watching Coin Hustle USA. If this video opened your eyes to the incredible world of rare coins, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with everyone you know, because somewhere out there, someone is holding a fortune and doesn't even know it yet, and that someone could be you.